All right, I'm not even gonna say a deep dive. A lot of these videos I'll say, let's do a deep dive. This is absolutely skimming the surface. I'm telling you right now on Dream Calendars. I do a lot of classes on this, and these are a lot longer. A short webinar is going to be an hour to an hour and a half on this, and I could do a 3-hour workshop on this, no problem. So in 15 minutes, what can I share with you about a dream calendar and actually give you a couple basic steps to build your own? Let's start with this. What is a dream calendar? Where did I even come up with that? Okay. I came up with that because I felt like I was missing something. Okay, why did I feel like I was missing something? What was I missing? And that is this. I'm about 50 years old, or I'm actually 50 years old this year. And since I was 19, I've been in some form of the corporate world pretty much that whole time. And in that, we've had plenty of team meetings. We've had plenty of workshops where they actually either bring a bunch of magazines for us, or we're asked to bring magazines, and we know what's going to happen. They want us to cut out pictures, put it on a nice board and all this other kind of stuff, and create a dream board or a vision board. And I feel a little bad about this next statement, but it's still the truth. I can't stand those things. Okay? They do nothing to motivate me, and I've always felt like I'm missing something because I've seen other people where literally that's one of the most important things in their office. They keep it in front of them and it reminds them of what they're working towards. It just never did that for me. That doesn't make me right or wrong, but know thyself. Okay? I have said over and over again, self-awareness is my freaking superpower, okay? So my self-awareness was, for some reason, someone would say, okay, so you want to move. What would that next house look like? Find a picture that's as close to that. At some point, you're going to buy a new car. What would that next car look like? Now, your wife she would like to travel. You don't take her traveling, but if you were going to take her on her dream trip, where would that be? And let's get a picture of that. For some reason, none of that resonated with me having those pictures in front of me. So it took me a number of years to figure out, not the why and all that other kind of stuff. What I wanted to know was this. I wanted to know, wait a minute, that does motivate a lot of people. What motivates me? And what motivated me back in, say, my mid-20s, what I figured out, and what resonates even more with me today, but I figured it out back then, was my time means more to me than anything else. It literally does, because my time is what affords me to spend the time with my awesome wife and my kids and everything else that really means something to me. It's not the new car and the picture of it in front of me. It just didn't do anything for me. Now, if you love your vision boards, you love your dream boards, keep them, and then add this in tandem with it. And I'm telling you, it's crazy powerful. But for me, this was the thing. The dream calendar that really motivated me. So what does that look like? And what are the steps to get there? The first thing I had to do was take a look at, and I'm telling you right now, grab a pen and paper and start drawing this out. Physically draw this stuff out, okay? So what I needed to do was determine what would a dream calendar even look like. So the first thing I did is I asked myself, what hats am I wearing? Now, you may say, what hats are you wearing? And you come up with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hats, okay? I'm going to break it down for this example to 3 simple hats, and we're going to focus on 2 of them, for example. You have your in the business, you have your on the business, and you have your personal. So break that down to 2. You have a personal hat and you have a professional hat. Bare minimum, though, in professional, you may have 3, 4, 5 hats. But I'm telling you, bare minimum, everybody has at least 2, which is in the business and on the business. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to draw out is going to be, how many hats do you have and what are they? Not just how many, what are they specifically? Now, I'm going to say minimum start with personal, in the business, on the business. That's what I want you to write down. Then the next steps, that's first step. Next step is going to be very simple. You're going to take a look at each one of those hats. We're going to put personal aside right now, and then we're just going to go into the in the business and on the business as an example moving forward. And that is if I'm an agent, just using that as an example, obviously use whatever is appropriate for you. In the business would be things like my lead gen time, my listing appointments, my previews, my door knocking, my open houses, working with buyers, all that type of stuff is my actual in the business, where I'm actually interacting with humans, with the clients, with trying to gain clients, all of that type of stuff. That's all in the business. For an agent, what might be some examples of working on the business? I need to do my financials. I need to review and put together my P&Ls. I need to pay bills. I need to do business planning and reviews. Not only am I an agent, but now I've started to grow and I have a little bit of team, so I've got to do my 411s or team meetings. I've got to do, I got to build out some type of training curriculum, operations manual, any of that kind of stuff. That's all on the business. Okay, so let's go through it again. First step, determine what hats that you have. At a bare minimum, write down that you have your personal and professional. In professional, you have in and on the business. Now, in the business and on the business, you're going to break down your sub hats or subcategories. This next one, I'm telling you right now, may be the hardest one for a lot of people. Now, why do I say that? Because I've done a lot of coaching and teaching over the years in this area, and it seems to be the one most people have the hardest time with, and that is using a restriction to your benefit. People don't like restrictions. I love restrictions. Restrictions bring me power. Okay, so let me just give you an example here. For me, the number is 40, so I'm going to put an hour restriction on my business. Okay, there's personal, there's professional. Professional is in and on. So on the professional side, I get to determine in my dream calendar how much time does my professional get. My professional time, how much am I going to give it? So I'm going to give it 40. Now some of you, you're going to say that's unrealistic. I'm working 70 hours. Okay, you're building out your dream calendar. But let's build something out that you will honor and that is actually achievable. It might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's achievable. So don't go from 70 to 40. You're never going to do it. Not right now. You can get there. There's no doubt you can get there. But I'm telling you right now, you're not going to jump from one to the other. Now, by the way, I do have a client that was a little over 70 hours, and we got them down to 38 hours in about maybe 2 or 3 months. Okay? But that's not the point here. Point is if you're at 70, and a dream would be to get it down to 60, maybe 55, then put that restriction on there. So I'm telling you, draw out your hats, draw out your sub hats, and then on the professional side, tell yourself and write it down. What is the restriction timeline, time-wise, that you're going to put on the professional side? I'm going to use myself as an example. Use your own example, but myself as an example. My professional side gets 40 hours. It will not get more than that. And in my dream calendar, there's no way I'm working 50, 60, 70 hours, okay? I've got the greatest wife that's ever existed, okay? I'm 50 this year. She's my high school sweetheart. And I'll tell you right now, there's no way I'm giving my business 50, 60, and 70 hours. It's never going to happen, okay? We're talking about a dream calendar here. In my dream, there ain't no way that I'm taking time away from my wife and my kids and everything else I have passions about. That's not a dream, okay? So I'm going to give it a restriction. The restriction is, for me, 40 hours, and it will not get more than that. Next thing is, I'm going to take those 40 hours. Now, for me, I'm going to determine what days those are. For me, it's just Monday through Friday. If you're an agent, you determine what that looks like for you. But for me, it's 40 hours. So let's just say it's Monday through Friday, for lack of a better example here, because I don't know who's watching this and what your reality and what days that you're working, but let's say Monday through Friday, okay? My first restriction is I will work up till 5. I will leave myself available and make myself available up till 5, okay? So now I have a couple restrictions. I'm at 40 hours. I'm only going to be available up till 5, and it's going to be Monday through Friday. So that tells me I'm going to start around 8 or 9 every single day, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start breaking out. Now, this will get very deep and very technical and very specific. Okay, that's where maybe coaching, classes, and those types of things in a workshop is more helpful to really break that out. But now what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start dividing out my in the business and on the business, and what are the predictable times that I can put on that calendar. Now, here's the next step. If we were going into a workshop, we would take the very first step, which is this. I'm not going to build it out fully yet if this is new to me. Because if I build it out and I put everything that it takes to do on my business and in the business on that calendar, but I'm not in the habit of doing that routine, I probably won't honor it. Okay? We're not worried about building systems. We're worried about building systems we will honor. I will never stop saying that. Okay? I wish I would say it in every video I ever make. Stop worrying about, it's not about systems. Okay? Systems are great. Okay? But systems you will honor are better. Okay, we want to build systems we will honor. So here's what I usually do is I take baby steps. And let's just talk about the in the business and the on the business. What I'm going to do is I know to fully build out my dream calendar may actually not happen in one workshop. It may take me, say, a quarter. Set a quarter goal, a 12-week goal, a 3-month goal to build out your dream calendar. Okay. Now, why does it take that long? Because if you just build out that calendar and it's something that is very foreign to you, it's pretty rare that you'll go from not time blocking and not having a dream calendar to building one and living it the next day. It's just not most people's reality. So what you want to do is take baby steps. Mini wins are huge. Okay, mini wins are huge, mini wins are huge, mini wins are huge. Okay, so what you're going to do is take each one of those hats, and what you're going to do is pick two, just two, not more than two. You're going to pick two things that you will put on the calendar from each one of those hats that you will honor. The key is honor. So on the business, if you're not doing anything on the business at this point, nothing predictable, what I would do is I would say 2 hours per week you're going to devote to working on the business. But don't do it 2 hours in a row, okay? Or 2 hours in one sitting. I would say break it up into 2 1-hour blocks. Say do one on Tuesday afternoon and one on Thursday afternoon, okay? I can get more done in an hour than I can in 2 hours, okay? Tell me I got 2 hours. I'm going to take my time a little bit. I'm going to think about it for the first 15 minutes, half hour, how I want to get it done or whatever, okay? You tell me it's an hour, I don't have time to waste. I got to just dive in and let's get something done. So I set my times based on the fact that I'm expected to work during those times. I'm scheduled to work, I'm working, okay? So what I would do is you're going to schedule 2 things, 2 time blocks for each one of your hats. So for on the business, the first time block might be your on the business. For 2 hours a week, I'm going to break it into 2 1-hour slots. And then there may be one other thing that I can predict. And what I'm telling you to do is put on there the gimmies. What do you kind of do anyways? And you kind of do it predictably. Actually take that. So I meet with my team. We do a team meeting every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Great. Throw that on there. That's your second one. Okay, put the gimme on there. Then do 2 that are in the business, just 2. Okay, maybe it's your lead gen time, and that's from say 9 to 10, 9 to 12, 9 to 11, whatever yours is, Monday through Friday. That's just one. Okay, because it's the same thing repeated over and over again. What's the second one? Maybe it's previewing properties. I don't know what it is, okay? But it's things that you do on a regular basis anyways. Put that on the calendar and then tell yourself specifically when you're going to do it. Now, if you think about that, you just started to build your dream calendar. It's restricted in a certain amount of hours. And what you're doing now is you have 2 time blocks for in the business, 2 for on the business. You have 4 time blocks. If you're not a time blocker, you're not into time management, time blocking, or anything else like that, to honor those 4 is a stretch. So don't go above 2 and 2. Then your goal is for the next 2 weeks. The number one thing in your calendar is to honor those 4 time blocks. You're not allowed to add anything to it until you have honored them for 2 weeks. Then add another 1, max 2 per category. It's going to take you about a quarter to get your calendar where it needs to be if you go that slow. But going that slow, what you are doing is you're only putting things on there that your full intention is to honor what's on there. The honoring is the thing that's important. It's the honoring that is important. Now, if you were coaching with me or we were doing a workshop, we would systematically go through this, how to add things. And the next thing that we would do is we'd say no time block is backed up by another time block. We build grace in between there. Okay. Now, some people, my grace is usually a half an hour to an hour between every single time block. I want that grace in there. And some people say, well, that's unrealistic. I have so many things I couldn't fit it in 40 hours a week, let alone putting in grace. Okay. Well, maybe you're at 70 and you're trying to go down to 40 and you haven't figured it out yet. So maybe you need to have your dream calendar is going from 70 down to 60. Then eventually from 60, maybe even just down to 55 or 50. Eventually you can get it down to 40, and I guarantee you there are people in your industry that are probably making twice as much money as you've ever made in your entire life, and they're doing it in less hours than you. They're doing something different than you're doing it. Okay? Now, some of them I'll just use myself as an example. I was doing this and I was working half the amount of time as a lot of people around me, and it wasn't because I was leveraging everything out. It has to do with the way that I build my dream calendar. It's not always about leverage, okay? Leverage is a huge deal, and it's big. But the answer to this, people like to use as an excuse, is they get away with being horrible at time management and time blocking because they assume the reason why people have all this extra free time and money and everything else like that is because they've leveraged everything out. That's not the only answer. Okay, so I build out my dream calendar. So step one, figure out what hats that you have. Then figure out what the sub hats are. Then put a restriction on your actual time that you're going to give that thing and make it a realistic amount of time, but less than what you're used to doing, because you're going to become more purposeful and more specific about how you use your time. Then from there, based on those restrictions, what you're going to do is you're going to devote 2 time blocks in the business, 2 time blocks on the business, and you're not going to add any other time blocks until you have honored all 4 of those for 2 weeks in a row. And then you're going to add only 1, max 2 per hat in the business and on the business. And you're going to do that until after about a quarter. That's about how long this takes. It has become your routine, and you now have your new time block and your new dream calendar. I will tell you right now, this probably could be more effective if we were doing this in a couple-hour workshop. But I'm telling you, you get a couple of the basic concepts. Focus on the mini wins. Focus on building systems you will honor. I have people that have looked at different calendars that I've done for different roles that I've done over the years. People see those in videos, they see them at classes and everything. They take a screenshot, a picture with their phone, whatever it is, and then they go away for the weekend and they send me a picture. This breaks my heart over and over again because people think I'm supposed to be proud of them when this happens, and it just depresses me. I'm just being honest. Is they send me a picture and they're over the moon excited and go, "Breckheimer, you're going to be so proud of me. I just built out my new dream calendar," or "I just built out my new time blocks," or "I just built out my new time management system." And it looks like an absolute rainbow on their calendar. It does. It looks beautiful. Okay. But here's what I know. They didn't grow into that. They figured out where they are and they figured out where they wanted to start or where they want to be. And what they did is, rather than trying to move in that direction a little bit at a time until they really achieved their goal, they found out where they were, figured out where they wanted to go, and they tried to start at the finish line. And that's a recipe for failure, because as soon as you start to get stressed, you're going to go back to what you know, your default, okay? And say, I'm just stressed right now. Things are out of control. Things are crazy. I'm just going to go back to the way I used to do it, and then I'll get back on track tomorrow. That happens enough time, this little dream calendar that you think that you've built becomes white noise. You're not going to honor it. You're not going to honor it in any way, shape, or form. So some of those steps, again, with the, build out the hats, then the sub hats, then put the hour restrictions, then start adding just 2 time blocks at a time, then 1 to 2 after that. This is a progression that we get to. And we're building it in a way that you will honor it, okay? So you'll build out your dream calendar, but it's not done in an hour. It's usually done over a quarter, okay? And if you don't know how to really do this, get some help with it. I'm not the only one out there who does this stuff. There's a lot of us out there that kind of think and work this way. But if you need help on this, or you've got a team or whatever and want me to come in and do something like that, we'll do a workshop. But I'm just telling you, if you're expecting to walk away from a workshop with 3 hours and that you have a dream calendar that you will start honoring next Monday, is understand it's a minimum of about a quarter-long journey, about a 12-week journey to even get really, really close on that, and to figure out where you're right, where you're wrong, where you're honoring, where you're not honoring, and then correcting that. That's the process. Hope that helps you guys. This is important to me. This is how I live my life. I'll tell you right now, this was a game changer for me in about my mid-20s, when I realized that my time was way more important to me than 99% of anything I would put on a vision board. And it actually means more to me today, as a grandfather of 2 new grandchildren this last year. It means more to me today than it ever could have meant to me in my 20s. Okay? It's still my #1 motivator is my time. So hope that helps someone. Have a great day.